What's up with y'all? How y'all doing? I'm in good spirits right now, man.
Terrence, after last night's performance, just how big was that for you guys to get over the hump and pull that one out in overtime?
Definitely major. You know, they added their other all-star, and you know, we wanted to come out and prove that we wasn't the team that we are last night. And you know, we gave up 45 first quarter points last night, and man, I just wanted to come in and make a difference, more ball pressure, things of that sort. So I think we found a way to do that tonight.
Terrence, Luka Doncic had 19 points in the first half, 6 points midway through the third quarter, and then after that he was done. I think he hit a basket at the end of the game, which was non-factor. But can you talk about the defense that team defense that y'all put on him tonight?
Well, guys like him and Kyrie, they you gotta really gotta try to, I want to say get up in them, but definitely team guard, ball pressure. I think that did a solid job for us tonight. But those guys are big emphasis, when you talk about team defense. So tonight, I would just say, man, we as a collect group, we did a solid job of trying to contain them and get out to their shooters, because they got a ton of shooters.
TD, following up on that individually for you, I mean, here you are wearing the chain, and you had the assignment of really seeing Luka for a good portion of that game. What were you trying to do? Just describe, I guess, trying to stop a talent like that.
Ooh, well, I mean, in the post, I had no answer for him there. But, bringing the ball down, just trying to make him work a little bit. Luka, he's a great player, man. Future Hall of Famer. He liked to go at his own pace, if that makes sense. You can't really speed him up. So if anything, you can just try to work him a little bit. And that's what I tried to do, second half.
Terrence, this place is known for being loud, and you guys have experienced some loud moments this season. But was there a different level of intensity tonight, given you were going against a potential playoff team after losing last night, stretch run of the season, et cetera? Like, did it feel like a playoff game in your eyes?
Definitely did. We talked about it as a unit, and we knew the atmosphere was gonna be over the top, but definitely felt like a playoff vibe.
Terrence, of course, De'Aaron was big offensively there in overtime and in the fourth quarter, but what did you make of his defense throughout the course of the game, especially against Kyrie?
I was just about to say that he was also big defensively, big time plays defensively down the stretch, especially at steal to go up. I think it was before the end of regulation, but man, he is him, man. All-star, he deserved it. Just major. He's just him, man. That's all I can say. He's him for sure.
Terrence, does an overtime win and having to battle it out like that, does that kind of make it a little sweeter?
Oh, no doubt. Like we just mentioned, it's gonna be like that come playoff time. If we wanna, make that happen, we're gonna make that happen for sure. But it's gonna be like that. You're gonna have some ups and downs, and sometimes a lot of times you're gonna have to fight through adversity. And I think we kind of did that. We had a few leads in the first half. I think a few 10-point leads, and they closed the gap pretty fast. And that's adversity, and we just kept going and kept knocking the wall down.
5 King players had 6 or more rebounds. Sabonis with 14. You yourself, you had 6. Was there an emphasis or talk or discussion about game rebounding tonight?
Definitely, especially from the guard position. Anytime we can get in there and get some boards, help Domas out, that's definitely beneficial for our team. So it was definitely emphasized, in the locker room. So I'm glad we was able to do that tonight, get it done.
Yeah, Terrence, we talked a little bit in the locker room before the game about stepping up with Monk out. Just how big is that for you to have that kind of offensive game, to go with the defensive game, but the offensive game with Monk out of action?
I just kind of took what the defense was giving me. I got a few. I got my first bucket, I think, was an offensive rebound, put back. So I think that was a pretty solid look. The defense, obviously I got an offensive rebound, but just took what the defense gave me and, just went with it in the floor of the game. So it probably don't happen like that every night, but I felt pretty good out there. thanks to my teammates, they were, you know, trying to find me and things of that sort. So appreciate them. Thank you, guys. I would have changed because this may be my only time getting a defensive pick. Yeah? You want to flip? Yeah, man. They put me on backwards, man. I don't know. Is it real? Yeah. I got some real sand.
Thanks, man.
Y'all take care.
Fox, you've had some pretty big fourth quarters this season. Obviously, just where does this one kind of rank? If it results in a win in overtime against a game that had a lot of attention on it.
I definitely think it's up there, especially with that team, and obviously now having Kyrie, kind of bring like a playoff intensity to the game. But I think for us, it's great just because you played a team yesterday, so it's going to be kind of similar to once you get into a game, into a playoff series, and you just try to make adjustments to come back better the next game. And I think we did a good job at that.
Yeah, De'Aaron, like we've watched you play here for a long time, but it seems like you're really coming into your own, especially late. 26 points in the fourth quarter and overtime combined. Just how much do you feel like you're growing into this role of being the star for this team?
I think I'm still learning, picking spots. But like I said before, man, the coaching staff, everybody that's in this locker room has confidence in me to go out there and make plays, especially late down stretch. And when your teammates and your coaching staff have that kind of confidence in you, you kind of just go out and the game kind of just comes naturally. But I don't know. I don't want to just say cliche like mentality or anything like that. It's when the fourth quarter gets going, like you get going. But that's pretty much what it is.
First off, did Rain sleep last night after the game?
Yeah. He actually, it's like 6, 7 in the morning is when he wakes up crying. But I've gotten. A lot of people were like, "It's weird," but I've gotten good sleep since he's come to us.
Lucky man. This team has made a tendency now of being able to respond after significant losses and respond in big moments. What do you attribute that to with this group?
I think a lot of it has to do with the way Mike gets on us. I feel like everybody would rather not get to that point, but I think as a team we learn quickly, and when there's a quick turnaround, I feel like we've been able to adjust, and that's Mike's biggest thing. When something's not working, or if something is working, you continue to go to it. If something's not working, you quickly adjust. And I think everybody knows how tactical and how savvy he is, and I think he's instilled that into all of the players.
Darren, you obviously this home court is loud, and it's talked about as being loud. But given that you're playing a potential playoff team, a 4 seed, a team you're just one game up on, did you feel like this had a raised level of intensity, and was the atmosphere a big part of that?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, like you said, we're a game ahead of them coming into today. So knowing that this is a win that we needed and a win that they really wanted, just trying to keep home court advantage going into the playoffs is something that's huge. And you don't want to be one of those teams, like I said, going into the All-Star break, on a losing streak or on some type of slump. You have to be able to finish strong, especially if you want to go into the last part of the season, hitting the ground running. So we know that these last, 3-4 games, now one game, we have to finish strong.
With Monk out, somebody had to step up big. Super big, and tonight it was Terrence Davis. He had a tough task, defending Luka Doncic in the same regards, though. But just want to get your commentary on, him coming in and stepping up. I think he had 13 points in one quarter, which really boosted you guys.
Yeah, I think I feel like we have this conversation every once in a while when somebody goes out and TD steps up. Like I said, man, he's a professional. He comes in here, he's always ready. Obviously, there are times where you kind of don't know if you're going to play or not, when you're teetering on the rotation, but he stays ready. If he's put in the game, he knows what his job is. And when he gets hot, he gets hot. When he's out there locked in defensively, we all know that what he can do on that end of the court. He can make plays for us defensively as well. So he's just always ready. And you see, he finished the game for us. He was out there with the last group finishing a game. So I think just being a professional, that's part of it. When you're having a game like that, and you probably haven't finished the game in a month or two, you'll be out there. So it's always just staying ready.
Yeah, De'Aaron, we've seen you have big fourth quarters and just clutch moments throughout the course of this year. Again tonight, 14 in OT, 12 in the fourth quarter. Is there any part of you that's eyeing that Jerry West Clutch Player of the Year award?
I've seen it. I've seen it on Twitter and Instagram. And I'll look at the comments and see what people say. I don't know how biased people are, but I think just about every stat probably points towards me getting it. So we'll see what happens at the end of the season.
What exactly shifts for you when you get into that stage of the game? Obviously, you play at a really fast tempo, and if that's your natural speed and you can maintain that, and other guys get tired from having to defend you, maybe that gives you an advantage. But what does the game slow down for you in those moments? Why are you so effective?
I just think the way teams kind of defend. Obviously, you want to defend the three. Even with trying to go under and try to play a 7-footer at the rim or whatever it is, I think just continuing to have a pace to the game is just it's kind of what I think about. In the first quarter, the pace is up, but everybody's pace is up. The second quarter, pace is still kind of up. Third quarter kind of starts to slow down. The fourth quarter honestly slows down a lot. But for me, especially when I have opportunities to run, it's not necessarily just trying to go out there and run as fast as you can. For me, it's continue to have that type of pace. And when something opens up, then I take it. And then in the half court, it's just trying to pick spots. For the most part, as a wing defender, as a guard, you kind of know that you're not going to block a shot. So for me, it's really just trying to get to a spot and just trying to get your shot off. And that's pretty much all I think about when the game is that tight.
You and Kyrie were really battling there at the end, but what do you make of the team defense, especially against Luka Doncic there at the end of the game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously those two are great players. I think they'll both be Hall of Famers. But for us, it's just you want to continue to try to make it tough on them. Obviously, if you only have one of those guys and as soon as they get off of you, try to deny. But with it being two of those type of players, you just, as a team, you have to be able to be on a string. And I don't know how many deflections we had tonight. I'll assume maybe 20 plus, because I think me and TD had 12 or 13 together. So I think that's where it starts, just being disruptive, try to get them out of their flow of their offense. Obviously, they're going to make tough shots. They're going to make tough shots every game. But you just want to continue to make that type of stuff beat you, or just try to get them off the ball and make other players beat you. So if they're making tough shots and they beat you, you dap them up and you keep it pushing.
And just that relationship you and Kai have is obviously pretty special. Just seeing you after the game with him, what does that mean to you? What kind of message was there, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, I mean, I love Kai. I've watched him since he was in high school, play in college, since he got into the league. He's a great person. Always looking out for others. Just genuine, down to earth. Obviously, he goes out and he's a competitor. He wants to rip your throat out when you're on the court. But outside of that, man, he's a great person, great father, great family man. And I mean that is what it is, man. It's just being a great person and a great competitor at the same time. I don't think you could really ask for anything else.
De'Aaron, I'm sure you've been asked about it, but I'm curious, someone that doesn't cover you regularly. It seems like Coach Brown coming into the season really wanted, if there was any one person that he really wanted to set the tone with, it was you from a defensive standpoint and really challenging you. He keeps calling you the head of the snake, obviously offensively, but defensively. Is that difficult at times to kind of hold that mantle? I'm sure he's been tough on you at times, but what has that meant for you, and how does that kind of resonate with the rest of the team, the rest of the defense?
I wouldn't necessarily say it's difficult, but I mean, playing point guard in this league, I'll shoot it to you straight. Most point guards don't guard me, so it's a bit different for me. Whereas I'm catching the best defender, and then I'm going out and guarding the other team's point guard, or a lot of times best guard. So obviously it is a lot. But I feel like I was blessed with the tools to be able to go out there and do that. So a lot of it has to do with just being in great shape, knowing you're going to get hit by 10, 12 screens per possession, while also having to go out there and run the offense. So it's nothing that I don't, accept and embrace. Mike says it all the time. That's what you get paid to do. So I go out there. I do my best with it. He's made me a better player. And I just try to go out there and do whatever it takes to win games. And I feel like I've done a pretty good job at it, but there's always room for improvement.
So, guys.
Yeah, Domas, with you fouling out late, just how much do you appreciate what your teammates, specifically Fox, was able to do down the stretch there to pull that one out?
He's been doing that all year. So I fouled out. I was like, Fox got this. Like I said, he's been doing it all year. He's been aggressive. He's been making the right reads, and then we got big stops at the end when it mattered and made the right decisions.
We haven't really talked to you since he got the news that he'd be an all-star and joining you in Salt Lake City. Just what does that mean? And I imagine he showed you kind of that all-star swagger tonight, right?
Yeah, of course. He's been doing that for us all year. He should have been selected in the first place. He's definitely an all-star. Like I said before, we're not here today without him. And he's just been playing amazing all year. He deserves it. The first one's special. Told him just to enjoy it and take it all in.
I know no one's using it as an excuse, but how truly difficult, or can you give us an understanding of how difficult these final games are when the All-Star break and the rest of the season is kind of looming?
I feel like it depends on the player. Some players might see it as a distraction, but as for me, we got to take care of business. We have one more. It's an important game. These teams have added players through a trade deadline, which they're going to be a lot better and more dangerous. So we just got to take care of business and come out and finish it right.
Tomasi, the crowd here is obviously good and loud, and you guys have talked about that a lot. But given that you're playing a team that's likely to make the playoffs, also you're a game ahead of them in the standings. Did you sense an intensity that might be different than you've experienced so far this season? And can you guys learn from that going forward?
Definitely. There's in these last 10 games, there has been, that little series against Minnesota. This one, definitely a different basketball. The physicality, the defense, the pushing yourself to limits where you haven't been doing it during the season against other teams, is definitely different. These teams know that we're up there. We know that they're up there, and it's a battle.
Kind of along those same lines, how much pride does this team take in being able to battle back against the same team that did what they did in that first quarter yesterday and come out with a win today?
We felt bad. We felt bad. That first quarter wasn't great. We won every other quarter of that game, and we felt like we should have put ourselves in a better situation in that game, even though we rallied back. But it's tough when you're down 20 in the first quarter. So today we just wanted to come out and try and be more solid throughout all three quarters.
Delmas, to piggyback off that, you guys are 5-0 when playing that same team in the second game of the mini series or whatever you want to call it. What do you guys attribute that to? Is it nice being able to play the same team twice? In a span of either a day or 2 days?
It just shows that our guys really lock in the scouting report. It's definitely harder and easier to play against a team back to back. But you kind of know their personnel. You know what to expect. That first game, there were a lot of scouting report things that we kind of missed, and we knew. And after that first game, we watched film all morning. It's definitely easier to take away things that we can control.
Domas, does it give you guys confidence just going up against a team like Dallas, but on top of that, this being the debut between Kyrie and Luka?
Definitely. They had their full squad. They were excited that first game. So for us to be able to come out and compete and get this win is definitely big for us. We know we can compete against those playoff teams.
When you say there were scouting things that you missed, just details that you felt like you guys didn't hit in that first quarter yesterday, or were you referring to something different?
Yeah, going under guys, going over non-shooters. If he's not a shooter, why run him off and then he goes and gets a layup? So things like that, which adds 45 points in the fourth quarter. Where we can control those and then it's 25 to 30 and puts us in a better position. So little things like that definitely help.
All right, are we good, guys? All right, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
You didn't wear that shirt. I wore a suit instead.
I'll take Domas in here over waiting for him.
Yeah, the 2 hour wait. Should at least put a movie on. Last year was an hour plus every single locker room beforehand. You know what I miss? I miss the headbands. The dead fox. Where's that? Do-rags.
Oh, do-rag. Yeah, he did. I'm gonna ask him about it.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Do-rags last year.
Bring it back.
I'm gonna ask him about it.
Bring it back so we can have our competition.
Get 6 hours overtime and wait on that.
First of all, a tough night for Josh. I heard he lost. A tough night for him, but I want you to know we're behind you. Keep plugging away, and hopefully you'll get another title shot soon. But way to represent the 916, so thank you. I tell you, heck of a job by our guys. It's 2 nights in a row where we've had two pretty good second halves defensively. Last night they scored 48 in the second half. Tonight they scored 50 in the second half. I mean, if you take away overtime. Defensively, we did a pretty good job in both games in the second half. What hurt us last night, obviously, is that first quarter where we gave up 45 points. That put us in a hole that was hard to come from or dig ourselves out of, especially when you're playing a good basketball team like that. I thought our guys, Luka was a handful in the first half, and we just said, hey, screw it. If they're going to win the game, it's not going to be because Luka's going to score. So every time he touched the ball on the block, we just sent a double team. And I give our guys credit. They doubled the right way. They came out of the double team the right way. And, you're not going to stop a guy like that, but when you double team him, you just hope to make him work, and you hope to have somebody else shoot the ball from time to time. But both he and Kyrie were fantastic tonight for him. We had a lot of great individual performances in our own right. Domas was banged up, but he still had a double-double. Fox's game, he had a great game. And, I told him when I was addressing the team, that's what all-stars are supposed to do. That's what your top guy's supposed to do. You gotta make the game easier for your teammates in big games like this, or you got to go score for us because they're an experienced defensive team that have had a lot of good playoff runs, and they know how to defend. And they know how to defend in a lot of different ways. And so Foxy to step up and score the way he did was what we needed from one of our guys tonight. Kevin Herter, between Kevin Herter and Terrence, the thing I enjoyed the most is those two guys at our two-guard position. I've been hammering our guys on this, but they had 14 rebounds. So for those two guys to come up with a total of 14 rebounds in the minutes they played was huge. They have to go back and help Domas on the glass, and they did that tonight. Kevin had a huge offensive rebound put back late that helped us with the difference in the ball game. Trey was big on the glass, and same with Keegan. So that rebounding effort is huge for us. Our pace was fantastic, 24 fast break points. I thought our guys got out and filled the corner the way they're supposed to. And, again, our ability to offensive rebound, we addressed that because I think we had 5 last night, and 3 of them were in the fourth quarter when we were a little desperate. So to come up with, 11 for the game and turn that into 17 second chance points was huge. But we had 2 guys that played really big for us offensively off the bench. Terrence Davis obviously was huge for us, and Trey Lyles. They were big. And I take my hat off to those guys for stepping up tonight in a big game situation and playing the way that they played.
Oh, I was trying to be nice.
You're a nice guy.
Yeah, Mike, when you see De'Aaron start to do what he's doing there, and I know you want that out of him, you expect it, but I mean, 26 points in the overtime and fourth quarter combined, just how much does that take not just you, but your team to buy into that concept that De'Aaron is going to be there to carry the load in those situations?
Our guys know it. It doesn't take a lot. Our guys know that our two main guys, Domas and Foxy, are the ones that got to carry us in those tight situations or when we're searching for buckets. And so it's not a problem at all. We just got to make sure that we're ready to shoot, when there is a kick out. And he's been doing it for us all year. The neat part about it is we found different ways to score throughout the course of the game where we don't need him to do that for 48 straight minutes. And, the way we sub him, we play him in bursts and 3 bursts each half. And so he can go and let it all out. And it also allows us to run him the whole fourth if we need to run him the whole fourth. So our guys respect it. They understand it. And they know he's our guy when it comes to that. And it's easier to have a guy from the perimeter go get it than to throw it into the post. Guys, teams have been double teaming the post for years, since the NBA started, and so the schemes to be able to double the post are better than to be able to double somebody as quick as Foxy that has the ball in space out in the perimeter.
Another Fox question for you, but we talked a lot about what he means in the fourth quarter, and obviously that clutch stat. Putting you on the spot here a little bit, how impressive was this one compared to what you've seen from him in those moments this season?
It was right up there. I was impressed. Like I said, it's a really good defensive team that's experienced, that has a lot of playoff experience, and they're physical. They're a physical team. They get up in you. They the right way. They hold you. They hit you. They bump you. Whatever you want to call it. They do all those things. And Powell is a strong, quick, athletic guy that can get out and defend on the perimeter and/or double team the ball when necessary. So to do it against that team in a game like this, especially in a back-to-back when we lost last night, was impressive. But like I told him, I said, to me, there's certain things that great players do that, yes, you have to give them their love and have to give them their props. But at the end of the day, that's what they're capable of doing. So they're just doing their job. And, and the same being around LeBron or being around Steph Curry or the late Kobe Bryant or whatever. They just do what they're capable of doing. And you tell them thank you, you pat them on the back, give them a hug, and you keep it moving.
Coach, right over here. How big of a confidence booster is this for you guys? Not just getting a win over Dallas, considering where you guys are in the standings, but also on the debut of Kyrie and Luka, and just how much hype was surrounding their debut.
I mean, it's a big win. They're a good team. They obviously have gotten better adding Kyrie to the mix. They're very formidable, and so for us to find a way to get a win in a situation like that just adds to what we believe in. We believe we're a good team too, and so for us going into this All-Star break and then even coming out, we know people are coming for us. They're gunning for us because of the position that we're sitting in, and we're going to get everybody's best shot. And so to be able to take somebody's best shot, especially after losing the game last night and coming back and responding, is definitely a confidence booster.
Mike, you've been part of a lot of playoff runs. For a team that hasn't been there, what can a game like this with a playoff atmosphere, a playoff level of intensity, what can that do for a team trying to prepare for the postseason?
It gives you a taste of it, because of the physicality of the game. We have a lot of guys that are banged up, starting with Domas. Foxy's a little banged up. And in order to win a 7-game series at that time of the year, you will be banged up, and you're going to have to figure out how to play at the highest level and play through whatever bumps and bruises you have. And, it's not just a physical thing, but it's a psychological thing too. And so that's what impressed me the most about Domas is he's banged up, but he came back and he had a huge double-double for us tonight, and he found a way to play through it. And that's what he's going to have to experience. And Fox, he's a little banged up too. That's what they're going to have to experience while going out there and doing their job at a high level and trying to get a win. So a big, great experience for us to play in a game like that versus that type of team, especially with the state we are right now.
Mike, I had two for you. I guess the first one would be, as you've said, you I don't know, expect this from De'Aaron, but obviously it takes something to be able to go out there. He's a very unusual player, playing at a very high pace, a high tempo that you guys play at. When you look at his fourth quarters this year, does him having enough left in the tank to play at his tempo, at his speed, and to be able to change speeds, does that kind of do something to kind of bolster him in those moments as far as how he just kind of takes over games?
Yeah, his speed is a huge factor. Vivek says it all the time. He says certain people have quote unquote superpowers, and that's what his is. His superpower is his quickness and the control that he has when he shows these bursts. They're crazy. Now you add his athleticism to it and the strength for his size, and he can get to his spots whenever he wants, and that's what makes him special. And we just have to make sure that we're spacing the floor at the right time for him so that he has room to go ahead and operate and make plays for himself or for his teammates in those situations.
And secondly, someone alluded to it, I think, in one of the earlier interviews with one of the players, but I think this game made you guys 5-0 on the second end of these kind of back-to-backs where you're playing the same opponent. Is there something that you feel like with the way that your guys just respond to yesterday kind of getting punched in the mouth in the first quarter and just being able to come back, the attention to detail maybe being a little bit sharper in some of those games?
Yeah, and again, that speaks to what it's like in the playoffs. You're going to play a team over and over and over and over again, and you may lose a game, you may win a game, but they're going to make adjustments, and you're going to probably have to make adjustments too. And those adjustments you can't take for granted. You can't take them lightly or anything. You got to go out there and you got to try to execute them at the highest of high levels. And then you have to make sure that you play with a physicality too and a sense of urgency, because your backs are against the wall in a 7-game series. And for us tonight, one of the things I told them is, at the end of the day, I think we only played Dallas 3 times, this year. And, it's important because who knows what our record is going to be at the end of the year and what their record is going to be at the end of the year. But to try to have certain tiebreakers with some of these teams can be huge. And so that was something that we brought up and talked about before the game.
Yeah, Coach, with ball pressure being one of your staples, what do you think allowed you guys to succeed in that aspect with Dallas being forced into 16 turnovers tonight?
Yeah, I thought Foxy was great. Foxy was great both nights. He was really good last night. I thought he was really good tonight defensively. And then even Terrence. TD was really, really good with his ball pressure. I thought, again, you're not stopping a guy like Luka, but you got to get up into him and get him to turn his back, because if you let him face you up, now everything is easily out in front of him to make a pass. He turns his back, he's still got a pass in motion by coming across his body and trying to make a play. So putting that type of ball pressure on those guys, I thought impacted the game to a certain degree. We had a couple of steals just from that, even late, that got us some easy buckets. So it's one of our staples, and our guys took heed to it tonight.
Mike, there at the end of the fourth quarter, what goes behind the decision to just let De'Aaron and the team ride for those final 11 seconds when you have a timeout?
What I've experienced is just, if you can go against a defense that's not set, you're going to have a better chance, especially as fast as Foxy is. Now guys are scrambling, they're pointing. If you can get by the first wave, they're usually not there to crowd that paint. And so I think of that, and then I always think of who's on the floor, because if you call a timeout to drop a play, they're going to get their 5 best defensive guys out on the floor. And it could be a grind getting a good look. And so, you kind of struggle with. There was a few nights ago where I took a timeout, and I shouldn't have. I can't even remember who the opponent was, but I shouldn't have, just based on who was on the floor for our opponent. And so if you're tied, if it's a one-point game, especially with our guys, and they had to score to tie it and or take the lead, I'll probably let it ride. Thank you, guys.